Okay, so here's level 3 and 4 now. Understand how changes to data affects measures of center and spread. Okay, so I am not going to write down the answer here. Instead, I'm just going to talk about it. So you had a worksheet called What Changes, and if you did that, you should have been able to make some observations about what happens when you add a value to all of the data set, and what happens when you multiply each value in a data set by a constant number. And we also did a warm-up for third and fourth period. We did the warm-up on Wednesday, and for sixth period, we are going to do the warm-up on Thursday. So what you should notice is that when you add something to every value in the data set, the entire data set just moves, like as a whole chunk, it just moves to the right on the number line. If you, like, say, made a dot plot, the whole data set just moves up. If you were to subtract, it would just move to the left. Okay, so the measures of center, therefore, are going to change, but it's not going to get any more spread out. If you add the same amount to every data item in your data set, then the amount of spread, the range, the IQR, and the standard deviation, and of course the MAD, are not going to change, because the data is, all it's doing is, it's like a translation. It's just moving to the right or it's moving to the left, depending on whether you add or you subtract, but it's all moving the same amount, so it doesn't get any more spread out. Okay, what about if you multiply? So if you multiply the data, when you say multiply numbers by 5, which is what was on the What Changes, what happens is if you have a small number and you multiply it by 5, it's still relatively small. But if you have a large number and you multiply it by 5, it gets really big. So what ends up happening is the data gets spread out. So when you multiply by a constant, the measures of center are going to change, because the data set is getting more spread out, and therefore the center is going to move, and the measures of spread are going to change. And they're going to change by the factor that you multiply it by. So if you multiplied every data item by 5, then all the measures of spread and all the measures of center are going to change by a factor of 5. All of them are going to get multiplied by that number that you multiply by. In my example, 5. All right, now you get to write about it. I'm not writing it down, so you can just copy me. All right, level 4. Find missing data given measures of center and spread. So here we're going to have to actually do a little bit more work. So the ordered set of data, and notice it's ordered, that means it's already in order from least to greatest, has an interquartile range equal to 7. Okay, so we need to set up and find our Q1 and our Q3. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 numbers, so that means the one in the middle is the 8. So here's the lower half, here's the upper half, so my median is 8. So that's my median. To find my Q1, I look at the first half of the data and I find the number in the middle, so that would be 5, so that's my Q1. And then I find the number in the middle up here, that's my X, that's my Q3. So if I know that the IQR, the interquartile range, is 7, then I'm going to do Q3 minus Q1, and that's got to give me 7. So if I solve that, I get X is equal to 12. Now I need to find the standard deviation. All right, back to the calculator. So I am going to go to my data, clear it out, and I'm going to put in 5, 5, 7, 8, 9, 12, and 13. And now I'm going to calculate. I want to take out that frequency list, okay? I do not have a frequency list. Oops, can you see that okay? So only list 1. I don't have anything in list 2. And my standard deviation would be 2.92. So here's the symbol for standard deviation, 2.92. All right, another question. The mean of the data in the table is 12.6, and the range is 15. Find the values of P and Q. Okay, range is really simple. That's just max minus min has to equal 15. My maximum is Q. My minimum is 5. That has to equal 15. So solve that, I get Q is equal to 20. Okay, so Q is 20. Now, I know the mean. The mean is 12.6. How do we get the mean? If I have a frequency table, if you look at your notes, we've put on another column here, which was F times X, frequency times value. So 5 times 6 is 30. 10 times P is 10P. 15 times 2P is 30P. And 20 times 2 is 40. Then I add those all together, so I can add my P's, so I get 40P plus 70. So that's all the data added together, and to get the mean, I'm going to divide that by the amount of data, which is the sum of the frequencies. So I'm going to add up my frequencies, so I can add my P's together. I get 3P, and 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay, so from our notes, to get the mean from a frequency table, we do frequency times X, add those up, that's the sum of all the data, so 40P plus 70, divide it by how much data, which is 3P plus 8, and that is going to be equal to the mean, which is 12.6. Now I can solve that. To get rid of divide by 3P plus 8, I'm going to multiply it on both sides, and I end up with 12.6 times 3P plus 8. I'll let you do the rest of the algebra from there. You have some space over here, but your answer, once you solve it, and I expect you to show all the steps, is you get P is equal to 14. So there's my answers. Q is 20 and P is 14, but you need to show the rest of the algebra. I'm not going to do it all for you. All right, see you when I see you.